All the animals were made to be to the size that Giwakwe thought they ought to be. And Gichinawesky, that's the Great Spirit, made man, smaller man. He told this man, he says, you'll have to live, you got to eat, and you've got to eat fish. And we make birds. We made birds to fly, but the birds were all big, very big. And the only way he could go to work and make those birds smaller, Giwakwe couldn't catch them. So he took a big rock, and while they were flying around, he took this big rock and he threw it against the side of a mountain. When he hit this mountain exploded and blew up and knocked all the birds out of the sky. And he went and he caught some of them and he got them all, so he made them all smaller. And that was the only way he could go to and get at these birds. So then he went after the waters. Fish, the great big fish that take all the room in the brooks and streams. They dam it all up so the water couldn't flow down. So he had to go to work and make them. And he'd take one and he cut him all up in small pieces and put him back in the water and told them to swim. So they all swam. That's what made all the different kind of fish. So after that was all done, then come the man. The man is supposed to go out here and make his living. That's all he did, was just get to wake up in the morning, hunt all day, eat all day. He couldn't find enough to eat without, if he stopped, he'd go hungry. So he had to hunt all the time until dark. When dark would come, he'd be so tired he'd lay down, and the next morning he'd have to go and do the same thing. That's why they call an Indian a hunter all the time. He's always hunting. Hunting for game, hunting for fish, hunting for everything, hunting for birds. He's always hunting. Seems to be a natural instinct in him. Well, the way he'd get his animals, he didn't have the knowledge of bow and arrow. Everything was clubs, pieces of wood, or clubs of rocks or something of that sort they had to kill with. He came on to the idea of deadfalls. He'd make a trap out of deadfalls. Animal would go to work and get in that trap, but he'd be alive yet, so this man would go get a club, sneak around behind him and kill him. Cut him up and eat him. Birds the same way. He had to go to and trap them. He trapped them by putting the feed on the ground, and let them come down and get it. Then he'd take a great big brush and break their wings by hitting them with big whips, branched whips. Kill them that way. Fish used to make a basket trap made out of basket wood. Sink it into brooks. He'd go down to the foot of the brook and start wading up with a brush, brushing in the water as he walked up, scaring the fish upstream. When they get upstream, they'd get in these fish traps he made, and that's where he got his fish. So he's doing all right. So one day, Gichinawesky told Giwakwe, he says, go to tell that little fellow there, he says, you see, those things we call corn. In that corn are little kernels, little pieces. Them are seeds. If you take one of them out and you put it in the ground, it'll grow, and there'll be many corn come from that. So the little Indian, the small Indian fellow looked at him and thought, he said, I guess I'll try it. So he went and got corn, pulled out one of those corn things and stuck it in the ground. Sure enough, after 3 moons, them days they didn't have months. They'd have to go by the moon, when the new moon was very thin and narrow. They call that the new moon. And each moon changed every 7 days. So in the Indian moon, there was 28 days. 28 days or 13 months in the year. So this corn was grown. He noticed one time that this corn had silken hair coming out of the top of it. So he took one of these corn one day and he took and opened it up. He saw that it was the shape of him, only it had long hair. He said, well, that's my partner, that's my woman. So he opened it up, took the leaves off, and he made clothing for this woman. And he gave it to the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit blew into that corn, gave her breath. By God, she turned out to be a woman. That's where a woman came from, was corn. That's why she got that long hair.